So earlier today, Packers' new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, had a press conference. And so I want to go through some of the biggest takeaways I had, share some quotes that Hafley had to share about this defense, some of the young players, what he's seeing so far. First off, here's a tweet from Rob Demovsky. He says, new defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley said, quote, "There's not a rush for that right now," end of quote, when trying to determine the starting safety spot next to Xavier McKinney. Rookies Javon Bullard and Evan Williams have gotten the most work, but he also mentioned second-year pro Anthony Johnson. So there's honestly more of a competition than I thought would be had here at the second safety position. I had assumed that Bullard would pretty easily win that job, but so far, Evan Williams, fourth-round safety, Anthony Johnson Jr., the seventh-round draft pick from a year prior, they seem to be, splitting reps there when it comes to the second safety spot next to Xavier McKinney. And so I still, if I had to make a prediction, would say Javon Bullard wins the job because of the fact that he is a second-round pick, more talented player in the draft process. That would be my guess. But Evan Williams has made a lot of nice plays. If you guys have followed along these recap videos, Evan Williams at training camp has had a lot of interceptions as well. And so he's making a name for himself out there as a rookie. And then from Matt Schneidman, Jeff Hafley on Quay Walker. I think you're going to see a confidence in him. He's having fun out there. He's playing fast. And one of the biggest takeaways I got all offseason, looking at different quotes from players, defensive players, looking at different, things when you look back at Jeff Hafley's time in college, is that he's a really good teacher of his scheme. He's really good at explaining things to players and making the complicated things more simple to where these guys don't have to think as much, which seemed to be a problem at times last year where maybe the scheme was a little too complicated. Guys were having to think more so than they're going to have to going forward. And so Quay Walker, he's such a fast, physical, talented player. And so my guess is with him being able to play more fast, we're going to see him be more productive than he's been in his time so far in Green Bay. And he's already been a very productive player here as one of the Packers linebackers. Then Wes Hodkwitz, Hafley on Kenny Clark's extension. Quote, "They've done a great job of drafting good guys here, both on and off the field, and Kenny is one of the best. I'm very glad he's going to be here," end of quote. And one of the reasons I love that the Packers decided to sign Kenny Clark before his final season is because the fact that it is Jeff Hafley's first year in Green Bay, it would be unfortunate if they moved off of Kenny Clark after the season, if he became a free agent, because then you have to, find another defensive lineman who can go in there and produce at the similar level as Kenny Clark. And when you do decide to bring him back on this new deal he got, you're allowing this defense to have some consistency going forward, where now we know for a fact that, coming into 2025, Kenny Clark is still going to be there in the middle of the defensive line, where if he didn't get this deal done, there could be questions as to who would, replace him if the Packers moved on from him. So luckily, they did not move on from him, and I think going into even Hafley's second year next year, we always see teams make improvements because they really, get the scheme down. And then Matt Schneidman says this, Jeff Hafley says Rashan Gary didn't like the defense's intensity recently and asked Hafley if he could speak to the defense. Hafley seemed pumped that Gary wanted to. Intensity picked up afterward. Here's a quote from Hafley. "That's something that you guys might not see, but it's important to note." And I think, we've seen from Rashan Gary, just all of his interviews in the past, you can tell just how much he loves the game, how much, his desire to be great and for there to be greatness among this entire Packers defense. And so it's cool to see him, taking initiative and leading this Packers group. Then from Andy Herman, Hafley on the rookie safeties. "We did a really good job drafting those guys. Praises smarts and instincts. Says they are here late at night and attending extra meetings. Also praised their playmaking. Quote, I'm glad we have those guys." And safety was one of the weaknesses last year on this Packers defense. Things were a little bumpy, a little rocky there at times last season. And the Packers made big investments this offseason, drafting a second rounder, signing Xavier McKinney, drafting a couple other guys. And I think we're going to see it pay dividends coming into 2025 or 2024. And one area where I think we're going to see a big difference is interceptions. It sounds like this defense is much more aggressive than Joe Barry's defense last year. And I think that's going to lead to a lot more interceptions, which seems to be a focus and one of the reasons LaFleur brought in Jeff Hafley. Then here's a quote from Hafley posted by Paul Brettel. "I think Stokes has had a really good start to camp," end of quote. He adds that he likes what he's seeing from him against the run as well. And that was one of the big questions for Eric Stokes is, can he stay healthy first off? And second off, can he get back to his form that we saw in his rookie season when he was playing at a, I would say, top tier level? And so far, everything I'm seeing from these reporters from training camp, it looks like Stokes is having a really good camp, which is really, not much you can ask for Stokes. And we'll see if it translates once the regular season comes about. Then another tweet from Paul Brettel, quote from Hafley. "I love the guy," said Hafley about Eric Wilson. "Off the field, he's one of the best guys you can be around." Hafley notes Wilson's ability to play different positions and how fast he plays. And one of the big changes this offseason was the move to a 4-3 from a 3-4. And so far in training camp, it seems like it's mostly been when there's 3 linebackers on the field: Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, and Eric Wilson. And Edgerrin Cooper still seems to be trying to find his place there. And Hafley also mentioned that he's taken some steps forward, improving as time has gone by. So cool to see Eric Wilson playing well in camp. And then here's the final one. This is actually from Adam Stenavich, Packers offensive coordinator's press conference, but it's about the defense. Here from Matt Schneidman, who says, Adam Stenavich says the main difference going against Jeff Hafley's defense are more defensive backs in the box and less shell. DBs are more aggressive against the run, he says. And I think we've seen so far in camp, especially when Jordan Love was had not yet gotten back and had not signed his contract, the amount of interceptions that were happening daily, I think shows that aggressive nature of this Packers defense. Also, Sean Clifford has been struggling, but that seems to be one area where things are changing a little bit. It's the aggressiveness of these defensive backs and more defensive backs in the box. So, interesting note there from Adam Stenavich. But if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. You can follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3. You can also follow my other NFL channel, linked down below. Posted a couple videos there today about other NFL topics, so feel free to subscribe there if you would like. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.